Hi guys, okay, so today George is going to do a seated calf raise. We're going to take that to muscular failure as well, just to show you exactly how hard you need to push the sets. A lot of people do calves incorrectly, as they do with a lot of body parts, mainly because they do one or two things, usually with the weight really. They either go too light or they go too heavy. Now, if you go too light, you're going to be repping forever. Yeah, your calves will be in agony, but how much growth that's producing, you know, I know when you watch my sissy squat, I did a lot of reps, but it's very difficult to add weight to that. And you know, yes, I'm still progressing on it, so it's definitely doing a job. You can do that with calves and any other muscle. However, I do tend to believe that 20 reps normally, other than like that sissy squat that I do for the reasons I just mentioned, is probably about the most where you really want to be going. Because you want a balance between the weight to be able to then use correct form. The other thing is what people tend to do is they go so heavy that they're not getting a full range of motion. Now don't get me wrong, when I do calves I pump up quite quickly, so I'm still feeling a maximum contraction, but whether that would look like I'm going all the way to the top is probably debatable really, but I am getting a full contraction there. So as long as you get the first few repetitions knowing exactly where you should be in the feel that you should be getting, that needs to carry on through the set, at least until you maybe get into a stage if you had a few partials or anything on the end. So the same thing with calves, you need to be getting as high as you possibly can and as low as you possibly can. What most people tend to do is they stop doing one or the other or both, so they'll prevent themselves from stretching fully because the calves are on fire. And what they'll do is they'll tend to get to a 3/4 point at the most, until they're really having to struggle, and then they start coming back down. Now, it's a peak contraction movement, so the most stimulation is in that top position, so you need to be getting as high as you possibly can on the balls of your feet, and then you want the full stretch so we're getting the greatest range of motion possible. The best tip I can give you for calves is a little bit like imagine someone's put a football between your feet and you're trying to hang on to it. So you're twisting the feet towards each other. Now, trying to do that is almost impossible anyway, and you certainly don't want to be doing it from your hips and your knees, so you're squeezing in, but just from the foot itself. Now, you'll barely move at all, but what that does do, it activates the calf, puts the calf in the right place. So what you're not doing is you're not going up and just flopping out to the side, which is what a lot of people do, and missing the contraction point at the top for the entire calf. So think about that squeezing effect, the range of motion that I spoke about. And then lastly, although I want you to focus on your feet squeezing together, I want you to forget about them from that point on. Think of what the calf is doing, think of the calf contracting, think of the calf elongating and getting the full stretch. The reason being is for some reason we tend to focus on what the foot's doing a lot when we train calves, and we don't get the greatest mind to muscle connection. So focus on what the calf's actually doing. Like I say, squeezing the feet high as you possibly can, low as you possibly can. And remember, on anything when you're coming down, your position, body position, everything should be exactly the same, just slower. So we're keeping a nice tension through the greatest range of motion possible. And then we're driving hard through the positive, but not to such a degree that momentum's building up and we're losing the feel for the muscle itself that we know that's causing the contraction. I don't know whether I've mentioned this on any other videos, but just as an example for this, when you see people doing, I know we're talking about calves, but if you see people doing a pull down and they're throwing the weight down like this, yeah, they might have a tremendous weight on there and a lot of people are impressed by that, but it's doing very little and the muscle's working very little. And what I mean by that, statically you're stronger than you are positive. So if you pull down on a lat pull down and you cannot hold the weight at the bottom for a squeeze, then muscle did not get that weight down to the bottom, not without a lot of help. Simply because you're stronger there than you are pulling it down. So if you pull it down and it literally just drags you back up to the top, then muscle did not get that weight down, so you're pretty much wasting your time there, or you're getting very little stimulation. So same thing with anything like that. So with a calf, make sure you're muscling it up, controlling it back down, and just push them as hard as you possibly can. They're going to hurt pretty quickly when you're doing them correctly like that. You've somehow just got to block that out and think why you're doing it. You know, the stimulation is what you need to get the calves to grow, and a little bit of pain in there is not going to do that. You know, you need to be pushing to the point that you can't move that weight no more. It's as simple as that. Now, I'll get argued the fact that you shouldn't be doing that all the time. Yeah, true. And we'll talk about that later down the line. You can't do that week in, week out continuously. However, you can do it for periods of time, which, like I say, we will talk about. And those periods of time when you're doing that, you need to be kicking your ass. So you need to be going to the point that, you know, you just can't move that weight anymore in correct form. You want to stick a couple of partials on there sometimes. I usually do that, that's absolutely fine. But again, make sure everything's correct, the body position and everything, and it's the calf that's trying to perform that partial. Okay, so they're the main points. Repetition range wise, I probably wouldn't do under 10. I know a lot will disagree with me on that as well, but it's getting a balance between the weight and the form. You need the form, and sometimes when you go down to like 6s and 8s, it's kind of difficult to keep the form sometimes, or you tend to feel literally just because of the weight rather than full fatigue build up from the muscle. So maybe just go for a sort of a minimum of 10, maximum of around 20. And like I say, just push yourself to the limit, but remember the last rep should be just like the first when it comes to form. Okay, so max effort, give it everything you've got, and that should do the job. Okay? Squeezing your feet together, all the way up, all the way down. Keep your body nice and straight. Bit of cracking going on there. That's just me. Okay, George is going to come in now for a seated calf. We're going to take this set to the limit to show you exactly how hard you genuinely need to be pushing to get maximum development. Okay, George. Okay, so I'm squeezing your feet together, high as we possibly can, low as we can. Okay, you ready to go? 2, 3, here we go, all yours. So once you're at the bottom, keep squeezing them feet together, but let it hang there a second. Now squeeze. When you're up, push for another second to make sure. Slowly coming down, constantly squeezing them feet together. Pause at the bottom, squeeze up, flex it, keep your body nice and straight. Slowly down. Don't let that bottom bit speed up there, keep the tension, go again. Big squeeze, nice and slowly coming down, keep that breathing going. Tension it now. This bit where you want to relax, focus a bit more and slow that down. Big squeeze. Make sure, tension it down. Just the one we're doing, George. Pause. Flex it. Big squeeze. Nice and slow coming down. Control, go again. Big squeeze, tension it down now. Big squeeze. That's good, stay there. Big squeeze now, George. Good, control. Don't lose this form, tension now, keep the tension. Pause at the bottom now, flex. Make sure you're up, it's yours. Good, control down. Body nice and tight. Here we go now, drive. Come on, drive through it, to the top. Slowly coming down. Keep breathing. Pause, go again. Next rep. Keep driving through it, drive, don't change anything. Squeeze, negative. Don't start moving around now, just drive with the calves. One motion, keep it going. To the top. Slowly, breathe. Pause at the bottom now, flex them calves, go. Squeezing them feet, up. Don't move, just drive. Right up, George. Slowly down, at least one more. Everything you got now, big effort, go. Every bit of drive, this is it. Come on, George, finish, come on, everything. Get to the top, like you're doing the best negative you can now, slow. 5. Set, mate, well done.